a sign-in in the back. So if you're attending the meeting, please sign in on that roster in the back of the meeting. The March 12th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting is called to order. We will be following a modified Robert's Rules of Order. As we come to a resolution, the city staff, the city planner will read the resolution. Then there will be questions from the commissioners to the city staff. Then the applicant, if present, will come forward and make any remarks or information that he or she may want to share with the Planning Commission. Following that, there will be discussion among the commissioners and the applicant. Then we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone that would like to approach the podium and speak either for or against the resolution could come forward at that time. We'll ask that everyone that comes to the podium precede their remarks by saying their name and their street address. And then after hearing from public comment, then what we will do is have any final discussion. We'll likely make a motion, and then the city staff, the Planning Commission clerk will poll the commissioners, and then the resolution will be either approved or disapproved or approved with comment. If there are no objections from anyone in attendance to the aforementioned meeting procedures, would everyone please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in? Let it be known that all persons present to provide testimony at this March 12, 2024 meeting of the Planning Commission hereby swear or affirm said testimony will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. All those in agreement, please say I do. All those opposed, please say opposed. All were in agreement. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Gary Koenig.
Present.
Mr. Eddie Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Brad Bupp.
Here.
Mr. Adam Sees.
Here.
Mr. Terry Wright.
Here.
We have a quorum, and we have tonight 2 new members to the Planning Commission. We have Mr. Terry Wright, which is 2 from me on the far right, and Mr. Adam Sees. Thank you. At this time, let's move to the meeting minutes of the January 9th, 2024 Planning Commission. Are there any additions, deletions, edits, or changes to the meeting minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The meeting minutes are approved. There being no old business, let's move on to new business. You could read the resolution, please.
Resolution PC 3-24, a resolution requesting a replat of in-lots 8660, 8661, and 8662, and vacation of existing easements and dedication of new easements.
We have the staff report, please.
We do. So basically, what's in front of you with the proposed split, what had originally occurred was there's 3 lots on that corner of Nadine between 3,300 and 3,400. The owner of, or the proposed owner of the west lot was looking to split the middle lot with the already existing home to the east. This is a review that came to me. I approved it in the best interest of the city. However, we found some underlying easements that needed to be vacated and reestablished. So when it came back through, what we came up with was what you see in front of you. But in order to do it, to vacate the easements and to create the new easements on the new property or new parcel lines, that has to be a recommendation to City Commission for approval. So I can explain more or kind of, the division of the properties and how that works. But basically what it did, it allowed the west lot to develop a lot easier. If you look at the original, it had a large frontage in the middle lot, but it had a very small rear lot and would have been difficult to develop on. So in the best interest, this was going to allow a $500,000 home to be built next to it. So in the best interest of the city, it seemed all right. At the end, you'll note that I recommended a favorable recommendation of the replat and the vacation of existing easements and dedication of new easements to City Commission.
Any questions from the commissioners? Is the applicant present?
Evening, gentlemen. Rob Alexander, 8468 Union Shelby Road, and I am the builder, and we are just hoping to be able to get this home started, and the easements are what have created the opportunity we have tonight. I'm just here if you have any questions to answer those questions.
Was the applicant, was the owner of the property that already is existing, is that person present?
No, they are not.
Have you talked to them about this?
Oh, yeah, they're very anxious. They're excited to be able to expand their property.
Their lot?
They had
Okay.
considered originally buying 2 lots, and this was a great alternative for them.
Any questions from the commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone present want to speak for or against resolution number PC 3-24? Any further discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number PC 3-24. The Planning Commission has studied the request, conducted a public hearing on the matter, and has established as fact that the proposed final plat will conform with the stated intent of the Complete Streets policy, will not threaten the general health, safety, and welfare of the properties affected, is compatible with the general economic development policies of the city, and conforms to all other applicable plans, policies, codes, and regulations of the city. This time, could you poll the commissioners?
Mr. Bubb,
Aye.
Mr. Sees,
Aye.
Mr. Koenig,
Aye.
Mr. Harvey,
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Resolution number PC 3-24 is approved. Let's move on to resolution number PC 4-24.
A resolution to approve a mural in the downtown zoning district at 212 North Main Street.
The staff report, please.
I do. So basically, the mural of the Mills Brothers was something that was, it was hatched well before me, but it was something I was made aware of 2 months ago and advising them the most expedited way to move through gaining the approvals there. As we started going in and reading through the new code that was adopted, it was basically determined that in absence of a particular recommendation committee that used to exist in the downtown district, that full approval of the mural came to Planning Commission. I apologize for, getting the recommendation letter to you not normally with the rest of the packet, but, once we saw the sizes, we wanted to make sure that we went about it the right way. The mural is well above the standards for what the code allows it. The code gives you guys approval, but it wants it held to the standards of a wall sign, which is 150 square feet. This mural is very notably over 150 square feet. So I felt the best way to proceed was, I had the applicants, I still wanted them to come to answer any questions or hear any of your concerns since you guys had the final approval. But then I put them on the agenda for Board of Zoning Appeals in 2 weeks so they could appeal the size, and then hopefully gaining approval through that to come back to Planning Commission next month. So my recommendation for this was to table the application and hope to have a more, I guess, thorough review next month.
So it sounds like there's a mistake or something left off our code, and it somehow got put back into the signage area. So we need to correct that as well, but.
Right, I think the intent when they put the murals in is they wanted something that was going to mirror the size of the signage requirements, but I think probably what would be best, in my opinion, and obviously that would come to you guys for recommendation first, was something that gives us a little bit more leniency to give you guys the approval, because a lot of times, your mural is, certainly in a lot of downtowns and, historical districts where they go into, they are larger than what typical shop signs are. So, perhaps there's a way to try to limit the size without being so strict in adherence to, a particular number. But, I think there's a rework there that's probably necessary in the future.
So in order to stay according to the code, we have to table that and let it go through the process of 2 weeks from now going and getting a variance and then coming back.
Yes.
Okay, so we really, hands are tied a little bit.
Yeah, but and if you guys did have any comments, it is a very polarizing image. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's a great use of the space, but, being that you guys did have full approval, that the applicant, if you had any questions or wanted to speak to them, they would be here to address them personally.
I personally think it's awesome. And hopefully we'll go through this procedure, red tape, and it'll be full steam ahead. So sounds like we got a little amendment to do to our code. A code is a living thing, we realize that. And kudos to the previous planner who put immense effort into the code, reworking the whole thing. There are some things that we missed, all of us, because we had editing responsibility as well. So apologize for that. Hopefully there's no big delay. Tell them to keep mixing their paint. As far as I'm concerned, it's a great mural. The more we can publicize our own hometown heroes, the better it is.
Any other comments?
I concur. I think it's a great idea. When I saw it at the commission meeting the first time, I thought that was an absolute awesome use of that space. So I'm with Brad on that one.
And I think just so you guys are aware, in the early discussions, when it was being revealed at the end of last month, their intent was not to, put something out there and create pressure towards you guys to approve it or anything like that. They were very cognizant of presenting it before it came here. They also wanted to go and get in front of Diversity Committee to make sure that they were aware of the project. So there's not a pressure for you guys to approve, without comment. So I feel like they did all the steps correctly and, put themselves at the mercy of you guys.
Has there been any reasonable resistance to something like this?
I mean, not that I've heard,
I wouldn't think so.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
And as I look at this, Mr. Henry, perhaps the way we think about handling murals in the future is a certain percentage of the wall space that it's on,
Probably be
as
a
a
better-
size limitation.
Right.
Because this looks to be the perfect size to me. And based on that wall that it's on, that makes a lot of sense. So maybe we can play with that as far as a way to amend this thing.
Right, and there was talk about, you know, the best way to use that space being where you would be viewing it from. You know, it's elevated, it's out of the way of vandalism or anything that could, you know, in theory, I guess I shouldn't say that, shouldn't be subjected to a lot of harsh things going on, and because you're at an angle of where you're passing, it sets up a little bit, so it is very, very visible to people going by. So that, there was considerations on the placement and how it would look, and everything down to whether the record would project up from the roof line or if it would be brought down to put it. There was a lot of discussion that went into it, and I feel like this is a really good representation of that.
And all the Troy citizens get to see it as they come into town, so that's
Yeah.
good too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Was the Mills family contacted, and the remainder of is there any royalties or anything that you have to come up with? Can you come up to the microphone? I can't hear you.
Don't forget to introduce yourself, Ruth, and give us your address,
Thank you,
neighbor.
Brad, nice to see you.
You too.
My name is Ruth Kuhn. I live on Park Avenue.
Lorna Swisher, 5409 South State Route 202, Tip City.
Needless to say, we're so excited about doing this for Piqua. And to your question, Terry, because of the age of some of the relatives of the Mills brothers, we have tried to contact the daughter of Don Mills, who I think is, I hate to say it, about my age. And we're having a little difficulty contacting her. We've gone to another family member to get their comment and opinion on the mural. Lauren and I believe that the mural is very tasteful. It is so visible, and like Brad said, it's perfect for that building. It's like it's been waiting for something, and this is it. I would say the comment about, and thank you, Chad, for helping us with this. When we contacted our, I'm not taking over for Lorna, but what we wanted to do with this mural was, if you're going to do it, you have to do it very well. So we were in contact with a number of muralists from the Ohio Arts Council, and we looked at every one of them. There probably were maybe 30 or 40, and we came up with a muralist from Columbus, Ohio, called Artisan Rooms. They have come to Piqua. They looked at the site, and they were the ones that came up with the size of this. Now, they also are coming back to Piqua in the near future with a projector, and they are going to put the image on the wall and confine it or enlarge it or do whatever we will tell them to do. So if we think we need it smaller, we'll do that. Not larger, because I don't think it needs to be larger. But I think it's probably about a perfect size, the way it is, yeah. And we are so pleased with how they did this. I think it's very tasteful. I think it's well overdue for these wonderful fellas. Now, I will tell you this, that what we have on the mural are the 3 surviving brothers and the father, because they are the ones who, after the oldest brother died in 1936, and the father came into the group and made the 4 people. But from then on is when they made their records went over the top. Million sellers, a number of great records, well, we all know. In fact, that's why we put some of the names of the songs, because I guarantee you, when people are on Water Street or on Main Street, they don't even have to see the faces. If they see the songs, names of the songs, they're going to know exactly what we're talking about with the Mills Brothers. So, hate to go on, but you can tell we're so excited about this. But go back to your point, we are still trying to contact a family member to get their opinion.
What about royalty fees? Is there anything, is anything trademarked? Where you
No,
have
we're
to-
not selling anything.
No, not you, but do you have to work with a trademark or anything?
So none of the font on the Mills Brothers is something that the designer came up with. It's not a copyrighted ownership of the Mills Brothers. It's a depiction of, to make it clear and easy to read. So none of the image is copyrighted that we can find. But as Ruth mentioned, and she's done a yeoman's job of really trying, we will drive to Bellefontaine, we will show them the image, we will make sure it's okay with them. We don't want to spend essentially $60,000 and be wrong. So we're still doing our due diligence on that, but nothing up there has been copyrighted.
I also noticed that on the website that they did, the other murals that they did, there was a border around it, kind of like the one we have in the square now. And it kind of drew everybody's point of view into the center of the picture. I was wondering if anything around the picture would be thought of.
We kind of left that up to the mural list. And I think also, Terry, if you look at they put that record in, which I think is just perfect for a border. Because even if the first thing you're going to see probably is the Mills Brothers, the record, and then you'll see those four faces. I think it all just plays really well together without a border around it.
And then
I think we also ought to mention Park National Bank was so gracious and generous to us to let us use that side of that building. It's just a perfect backdrop.
Well, and the other thing that we should mention is after we consulted with Park National, the entire mural was shrunk down a little bit. So the very bottom of the record is 13 and a half feet high, speaking to Chad's concern about graffiti or anything like that. You're going to have to be very intentional or very tall to do any graffiti on that mural at that height. So that was a choice, a designer's choice, and something that we really got a lot of feedback from Park National on.
Even with my massive vertical leap, I can't get up that high. So.
I'm really glad to hear that, Brad. And I'd like to see that.
Yeah, about that high.
So our fundraising efforts are going on right now. We have about $38,000. It is going to cost us probably $60,000, if not a little bit more, because we're going to prep the wall for the mural. So our fundraising efforts are going on strongly, and Lorna has got that all underway. You can go to Main Street Piqua, and there's a little tab that says donate, and it goes directly to that mural, and you can donate to it. So we're on the way to making it a great feature for Piqua.
Yeah, my only question is I think it's great. Mills Brothers, the legend, is fantastic, and where it's located and all that. The question is, it's a exterior brick wall. So a lot of times brick is very difficult for, historic structures, you don't even paint them. And how do you prevent normally if there's any kind of water going through the brick, you get effervescence and you get all kinds of, in a very short period of time. So what is your consultant, how is the application, have they thought about this? They do this all the time to the brick, and do they guarantee it for 30 years or something?
To your point, and quite frankly, we kind of hadn't really thought that through. But thanks to Chris Schmeezing and Chad Henry and a couple of others here at the city, they suggested we bring in Midwest Maintenance, and they went and looked at the brick, and they are suggesting a treatment on the brick prior to us putting the mural on the wall. We don't yet know we know the specifications of what we need. We don't know the cost yet of what we need, but it will prepare that surface for that mural to last a lot longer than maybe it would have had we not
Just
decided
going forward,
to. Yes.
yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good,
What is it called? Do you remember?
I
The
don't.
prep,
Yeah.
I brought the specs, but I don't know offhand, Brad, what it is. But it is with Midwest Maintenance, and
Yeah, they're
Jamie
good.
Carrere was wonderful about doing this. So we've got the specs, we've sent them on to a contractor to give us a quote. That's why I mentioned we're planning on 60, but it might go over that whenever we find out what that quote is going to be.
So
Yeah,
is that sealer they're going to put on there probably the whole brick wall?
Yes.
That's good. And then There's also a special primer that's called a block filler that is thick, and it helps smooth out, you know, because that brick gets pretty rough. So I don't know if they're proposing that as kind of another layer, but that'd be just under the mural.
I think the great thing is, Brad, that they are aware of what we're doing. And so they are preparing it tremendously for that application, so I'm sure it is.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times you have to, when you have an old structure like this, you have to examine the mortar and ensure that there's any requirement for, it's, on a periodic basis, you have to tuck and point all the mortar, and you don't want to put on a pretty much priceless mural until all that work, the preliminary work is completed.
So in our conversations with Park National, unfortunately, as we all know, we lost some buildings in downtown that results in us having that, well, Mr. Brupp was on the design review board when that process went through. But we have spoken with Park. They have, of course, maintained that south facade of that building, and most recently had tuck pointing done within the last 5 or so years.
5
So,
years?
yeah.
Perfect.
It's good.
So I believe from the information that was shared with us from Park, with what we're getting from Midwest Maintenance, that surface will be primed and appropriate for what we're trying to accomplish here.
Okay, I just wondered.
I appreciate that.
I didn't really
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at it, but
We're really trying to cover all of our bases because we're just like you. We want to put up this great mural, but we want it to look just that great in 5 years. And so we're all on the same page.
20 years.
Once it's up, who maintains the ownership of it?
The
part-
muralist.
The bank or?
We have a contract with the muralist. If there's any problems with it, he will come back and maintain it. So we're okay.
And it'll be the responsibility of Main Street Piqua.
Main Street Piqua. Okay.
Okay, and then I had one more, let's see. Or have the surrounding businesses been contacted? Did you get any feedback from the surrounding businesses in the area?
You know, Terry, the great thing about that, where that is located is catty corner is Crooked Handle. Winans has their corporate office. Then across the street, of course, is Lock 9 Park. That whole area right there is ready to receive anything that is so spectacular like this. We've heard nothing negative. We have not particularly gone person to person to say, what do you think about this? I guarantee you probably if we showed that to them, they'd say, fabulous. So, well, as a sidebar comment, in July of this year, the class of Piqua High School from 1974 is celebrating what they call a Century of Harmony. And it's gone, that weekend of July 27th, it's all going to be about the Mills Brothers. What perfect timing. And we didn't know that, but isn't this wonderful? So we're doing this, they're doing that. So we're hoping to have something on that wall by then.
And Mr. Wright, to your question, we do send notices to everyone within 200 feet of the location of the variance or thing that we send out.
So what you're saying, if somebody has a problem in 2 weeks, they'll be at that meeting versus this one?
They were notified about this one, and they'll be notified about that one.
Perfect.
And they'll be notified again next month.
The only other thought I had was scuppers, have someone take a look at the roof and see where the drainage goes. You don't want the drain, you want to route the drains away from the,
Midwest
Mural
Maintenance
back.
did that also.
they go to the mural, the back?
No, they go to the back.
Okay, very good.
Midwest Maintenance was on the roof also, Gary, so they inspected that also. So we wouldn't have any problems.
Perfect. It's a great project.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
I just can't wait. It'll be so exciting to see. Of course, part of this project is, you know, it's not inexpensive to rent a lift, a 60-foot lift. So it'll be so wonderful for people to be able to come down and see the muralists working on this. It'll be, the whole process of probably, I think it's going to take maybe 6 weeks. That whole 6 weeks is going to be so exciting for all of us.
Okay, thanks.
I got
Thank
one
you.
question.
Thank you very
Lorna,
much.
Ruth,
I got a
thank
question,
you.
Ruth.
Oh, one.
Is there any possibility of lighting it? Because I drove
Well-
by there last night and it was kind of dark.
Do you see those black squares,
Yeah,
two
the
of them?
lights.
Okay, those are lights from Park National that has those, then go up and down. But,
No, they only go down.
oh, sorry, I only got it. But we're talking about maybe talking to the city to see if maybe we could, there are a couple of poles, light poles out by the street. If they could attach something to the top of the pole that would be like a flood, that could focus in on that, that'd be wonderful. So that's still in the works.
So to answer your question, Mr. Harvey, we don't have it in our budget because then we're adding some more zeros to the
Yeah.
project, but we are hopeful that that will be the end result.
Yeah,
Talk to the mayor.
yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, the mayor's here.
Okay, good.
Thank
Okay.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth.
Anyone else present like to speak for or against resolution number PC 4-24? Okay, at this time, are we going to have a motion?
Make a motion to table it till next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion to table it in a second. Could you poll the commissioners?
Mr. Sees,
Aye.
Mr. Koenig,
Aye.
Mr. Wright,
Aye.
Mr. Harvey,
Aye.
Mr. Bupp.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number PC 4-24 is tabled until the action by the Board of Zoning Appeals in 2 weeks. Moving on to resolution number 5-24.
A resolution to appoint a chair and vice chair by a majority vote until the spring after city commission.
I'll nominate Gary Koenig and Brad Pope, because Gary's the chairman and Brad is the vice chairman.
Do we have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Ed.
No, I don't. No, thank you. You guys do a good job.
Anyone else? Okay, we have a nomination for myself as the chair and Commissioner Bupp as the vice chair. At this time, the Planning Commission has nominated, and both have agreed to serve in this capacity until the spring of 2025. At this time, could you poll the commissioners?
Mr. Harvey,
Do I get a second?
Yeah, because I nominated that.
Nominated? I thought we had,
Do you need a second on the nomination?
I thought we did have a second.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention.
Okay, at this time, could you poll the commissioners?
Mr. Harvey,
Aye.
Mr. Wright,
Aye.
Mr. Bupp,
Aye.
Mr. Sees,
Aye.
Mr. Koenig.
Aye. Resolution number PC 5-24 is approved. Now we'll move on to resolution number PC 6-24.
A resolution to nominate a representative from its members to serve on the Housing Council until a new appointment is made in the spring of 2025.
At this time, I am currently the Housing Council representative from the Planning Commission. Perfectly, there's a meeting, there's one meeting a year, and that meeting is next week. I would be willing to serve on the Housing Council for another year. However, I will open it up for number one, we need someone to nominate.
Well, I nominate Gary Koenig.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination, a second. Gary Koenig, myself, has been nominated by the Planning Commission and agreed to serve in this capacity if appointed by the City Commission. So at this time, could you poll the commissioners?
Mr. Bupp,
Aye.
Mr. Koenig,
Aye.
Mr. Sees,
Aye.
Mr. Wright,
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Okay, the PC 6-24 is approved. That is all the business that we have. Is there anything else?
I appreciate your guys' support.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Hey.
The Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, March 12th is adjourned.